Undercity NPC Easter eggs. There are a ton of references in WoW, and I can't think of a place that has more of them in one place than Undercity. So I'm going to go over a short list of the references behind a couple of the NPCs. First off, we have the Undercity Bankers. In Undercity, the 4 bankers have the last name Montague. This is a reference to one of the feuding families in Romeo and Juliet. This is more certainly derived from Mercutio's line where, mortally wounded, he says, "A plague o' both your houses." That plague, of course, being the one of undeath. Ophelia is the only one of the bankers that's a ghost, which could be a reference to Hamlet, seeing as she committed suicide in that play and was already dead. Harbinger Balthazad. His name is a reference to Balthazar, Romeo's servant and trusted friend who serves the Montague family. He can be found walking around the 4 bankers. There are 2 NPCs named Tyler and Edward, which are obvious references to Fight Club. They also do not have last names like all other NPCs in Undercity, which could hint at the fact that they are the same person like they were in the movie. The undead around them also have names from the movie, such as Marla and Robert. The Guild Master of Undercity is named Christopher Drakul, clearly a reference to Christopher Lee, who played Dracula more than any other person in film. In the War Quarter, there is a priest trainer named Father Lankester, named after the priest Lankester Merrin from the Exorcist film. The undead innkeepers in Undercity and in Silverpine are named Innkeeper Norman and Innkeeper Bates, a reference to the Psycho film's main character Norman Bates, who ran his mother's hotel. In the Bat Trainer's alcove, you will find Patrick Garrett. This is a reference to Pat Garrett, who was a lawman in the Old West and who was friends with Henry McCarty, better known as Billy the Kid. Garrett eventually shot Billy twice in the back. Standing near Patrick Garrett is the Undercity Flight Master, Michael Garrett. Although there is no evidence of a family relation between the two, it is assumed that Patrick is Michael's son. Then Patrick is the Bat Master's son. This would be a play on words for Bat Matterson, another lawman of the American Old West. The senior warrior trainer of the undead race is called Christopher Walker, possibly a reference to the actor's name Christopher Walken. One of the Zeppelin goblins near Undercity is named Hindenburg, which is a reference to the famous crashed German Zeppelin, the Hindenburg. There is an NPC named Teresa that wanders around aimlessly. She is blindfolded and is a mind slave to one of the priest trainers. This is most likely a reference to the blindfolded character of the same name in Fable, the Lost Chapters. The undead ghoul named Algernon is holding a single flower in his only hand. This is a reference to the book Flowers for Algernon. Also, if you do some kind of AoE around him, 2 void elementals will come out. Royal Overseer Bahas of the Undercity Census Bureau may be named from the seminal goth band. This could also be a reference to the German Baja School of Architecture and Art, which deeply influenced the modernistic period. The 3 rogue trainers, Carolyn Ward, Miles Dexter, and Gregory Charles, are references to Charles Dexter Ward, the main character in H.P. Lovecraft's horror story The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. There is an engineer named Franklin Lloyd, a reference to the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. There are 2 chemists with Fooly and Cooley in their names. Their names are a reference to the anime series FLCL, or Fooly Cooley. In the Blue Moon Odds and Ends shop, there is Alessandro Luca, whose name is reference from the Swedish name for Gladstone Gander in the Donald Duck series, Alexander Lukas. The expert alchemy trainer is named Dr. Herbert Halsey. This is a reference to 2 key characters, Herbert West and Dr. Halsey, in the novel The Reanimator by H.P. Lovecraft. In the book, Herbert West creates an alchemic substance that can reanimate dead tissues, which he uses to bring back Dr. Herbert. Riley Walker's name is a reference to the book Riley Walker, a story about post-apocalyptic England. Father Lazarus. 2 possible references for this guy. The first being Lazarus, the guy Jesus raised from the dead in the Bible. And 2, Archbishop Lazarus. In Diablo 1, Lazarus led the townspeople of Tristram into the catacombs of the monastery, which was infested with demons. He left them behind in the butcher's chamber to be slaughtered. Luther Pickman, a warlock trainer, is a reference to the Lovecraft story Pickman's Model, about a man named Pickman who knows far more than he lets on about the undead and the use of dark magic. Arthur Moore. His name is a play on Dudley Moore, the actor, and the character he played in the movie Arthur. James Van Brunt. His name is a reference to the British pop singer James Van Blunt. Ganoush, a Lieber gnome who was very out of place in Undercity, seeing as he's not really an undead. His name is probably a reference to the TV show MXC, where the casters would often make up names for the contestants with some form of the word Baba Ganoush. Susan Tillinghast. Her name is possibly a very subtle nod to one of the families in H.P. Lovecraft's story, A Case of Charles Dexter Ward, who had the name Tillinghast.